What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Bischoff and Brown right here on the Detroit Lions podcast. He's Scott Bischoff. I'm Russ Brown. We are back. I don't even know how many episodes of this we've done of this show, a lot, and it's been a lot of fun. We always enjoy doing it. With me, as always, Scott Bischoff. Scott, my man, I know things are chaotic, but how the hell are you?
I personally am doing well. Other members of the house and the dog, not so much. But,
yeah,
what are you going to do?
Yeah. Oh, you'll get through it, just like the Lions are getting through it with injuries and those types of things. Right?
Yes.
We everybody I think in the city of Detroit knows about the Lions injuries on defense. A couple guys on the offense are banged up, primarily Taylor Decker, but big win on Thanksgiving. And as you said before the show, it kind of went as you expected, and I'll have you elaborate on it. But the Lions did dominate, and then it kind of felt like they took their foot off the gas. Not necessarily sure what happened going into that fourth quarter, but the fourth quarter really, it just didn't go the way that any of us thought. They didn't score again. It was 23-7 going into the fourth quarter. Yeah. And it ended up being a lot closer than we thought. But what was your spin on Thanksgiving? And ultimately, how was your Thanksgiving, I guess, before we get into that?
Oh, I ate way too much stuff. It was great. Thanksgiving was awesome. How was yours?
We're good. The turkey came out well. Everybody was happy. It was so tender out of the oven that the wings of the turkey fell off. So it was good. It was a good day. Lions won. The marriage curse of the Lions losing on Thanksgiving has been lifted, and we're good.
That's a nice bright spot. That's good.
Yes, it was good. It was good. But Lions win 23-20. Let's dive in. What was your takeaways from this game offensively and defensively?
So it kind of was, the final score was kind of, I don't know. I don't remember what I said a week ago, truthfully.
You said it was going to be closer than maybe most fans, even ourselves, are maybe giving it credit for.
Yeah. And I think I was thinking that Chicago on offense was going to have a lot of 3-and-outs and then string together multiple possessions where Caleb Williams looks like a freaking rock star. And that's kind of like the Lions allowed him to do that. And he took advantage of it and he made plays. Ultimately, wow. The ending of that game, I still can't. There's been so much that's happened since last Thursday, including the Michigan-Ohio State game, other games last Thursday, and the Friday game, and then the Sunday games, and then all the nonsense here. It kind of went, it was way too close than it needed to be, but it's kind of what I thought and how I kind of viewed it. Like, I think we were saying that they were were they a 10.5 point favorite? 10, 9.5?
Something like that. 9.5, 10 points, something like that.
Yeah, I would have kind of, not that I did any of this, so it doesn't matter what I'm about to say, because if I truly felt this way, I should have done it. But I didn't do it. I would have taken the Bears and the points and been pretty comfortable doing it. Just from the standpoint of, I thought Caleb over the previous two games had gotten into rhythm and looked good for stretches, and then they would peter out and have a couple 3-and-outs, and that's kind of what happened in that game.
Yeah.
You can see why, why there's so much, you can see why there's a lot of people who are fans of his game.
Mm-hmm.
But then you can also see why there are people who just kind of knock on him for his game, right?
Yeah.
So, and it was all on display. Like, I don't know how, just going to the end of the game, I don't know how a quarterback allows that to happen. I don't know how the head coach does.
Mm-hmm.
Just watching the time go off, like, calling a timeout here is about the worst possible outcome, with the exception of letting the game clock run out without without having a chance. Like, so that whole thing is crazy.
Well, when it got to 12 seconds, and I don't mean to cut you off, but when they got to 12 seconds, I was immediately like, okay, he's going to call a timeout, quick out or something, and then attempt the field goal because it was already third down. And then the time just kept going, and then Caleb changed the play. And I don't know if I generally don't know if like they're giving Caleb the opportunity to really freelance as a rookie, and maybe that's where the disconnect happened and they weren't aligned. And
see, that's the confusing part. He goes out there and he tells everybody he changed the play, but then backs it up by saying he didn't have the authority he felt to call timeout. And it's like, pick a lane.
Right.
You just drove a car, both ways.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird. But I don't know what they're running there. I do think I'm kind of curious to see what you think on this. On the second down play where Zadarius Smith got the sack.
Mm-hmm.
That was second down, right? Or was that third down? Whatever it was, second down.
It was second because it forced third down.
So that one felt to me like that was a quarterback draw. And that's why the right tackle really didn't bother to block him. Because really, he's just got to let him go outside.
Yeah.
And I wonder if he just didn't, maybe it was loud and he just didn't get the play change, or maybe, I don't know that Caleb even changed the play on that down. I don't really know.
Right.
But
and that's the thing, like what down and distances are he changing? Is he, what plays is he changing? Because it looked like there was a lot of times where there were miscommunications and there was just chaos everywhere for that offense at times.
There was, and then it's like at the end there, on third down, you need to snap the ball. And if your primary is open and you can get 7 or 8 yards, get it. Doesn't matter on the field where it is, or get out of bounds. Preferably, you'd rather have it in the field.
Yeah.
You don't want to leave time on the clock. And then call your last time out and kick the field goal. Or, if the primary is not open, run. And there was a lot of space for him to run on that third down play. And he just held onto the ball and held on. And it's kind of indicative of a guy to me who just took too big a bite of the apple there.
Yeah.
Like forcing that ball deep down there to O'Dunn's was a mistake. It's a huge mistake. I hope he learns from it, as far as, being a fan of his game and that kind of stuff. But that's it in a nutshell with him. Like, there are going to be times where he's going to do things where you think, you didn't need to put on the superhero cape exactly then.
Right.
We just needed 10 yards, 8 to 10 yards. And then it's I don't want to say manageable, because they've had, it's absurd, but they've had a field goal blocked in the two games before that game. So do we know that they could come out there and make a 48-yard field goal? I don't know.
At least put yourself in a position where you're not looking at the clock and really just,
kick the 58-yarder.
Right.
A second left. Like when it goes down to not a second, because he throws the ball. He threw the ball with what? 4 seconds left? 5?
Something like that. Maybe 3 seconds, because the ball got snapped at like 6 seconds.
So at 7 or 8 seconds, you got it. I just don't know how you're not, if you're Eberflus, I don't know how you're not calling timeout before that.
Right.
But that's all, I guess it's all hindsight, but it still is like, it's a super confusing thing. The Lions got lucky. They really did. I don't know that they could have made a 58-yarder, but you don't want to even take the opportunity to get to overtime or any of that kind of stuff. You just don't want to deal with that stuff.
No.
But the Lions deserve, they played a solid game. They just didn't finish on offense like I think we've seen them in the past. I thought Gibbs looked really good again.
Mm-hmm.
Montgomery looked good. The running game was really good. Laporta scores twice. Amon-Ra had a down day, which I think is a little bit to be expected in that matchup.
Yeah.
We'll have to kind of hold on to this for a couple weeks from now when we're in Chicago and playing the same kind of matchup stuff. It needs to be more. The Lions got to get back to doing some duo stuff.
Yeah,
some more heavy, just bludgeoning people, running through their face, kind of, so to speak.
Yes.
That's kind of what they have to do this week.
I agree. And there were times in that game, like down in the red zone where, and I said it in the first half, I'm like, it was what, 16-0 at the half or something like that. And I'm like, 16-7, whatever it was. And I'm like, it should be 28-0. It really should have been. And, look, I love Ben Johnson. I really do. I think he's a great coordinator. We all know that. Don't know what he's going to be as a head coach. That's a conversation for a different day. But like, he gets in his own way and in his own head. Like, I love the creativity with Penei Sewell, but why is Penei Sewell running with the football? What are we doing here? Like, and I think it was truly a pass. I think he was supposed to throw the ball.
Yeah.
But I'm just like,
think about this though. Your right tackle who kicked over to play tight end on the other side of the formation had the wherewithal to go through his progressions and understand that the guy he's supposed to throw to is not open.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It is impressive. Like,
because most players are just firing that thing down there and whatever.
Yeah.
And
I get like the crowd was loving it when he lost the yard and everything. And it was like, this is the best negative play in the history of the NFL.
Yes.
But yeah, like they just kind of got in their own way. And I think that's really how you can sum that game up for the offense. Not so much for the defense. I think the defense continues to play on their head, and kudos to Aaron Glenn and what he's able to do with the talent. We'll talk about some of the injuries and how it's sustainable moving forward. But like offensively, just stop with the nonsense, right? Like let's not have the penalty, JMO. Let's not fumble the ball, Gibbs. Like that fumble from Gibbs, it was identical to the 49ers game last year. You gave them life. Yeah. And that sparked that comeback because the Bears were dead. They were dead in the water. The Lions had them right where they wanted. And that fumble happened, and it gave them that opportunity and that life to kind of spark a comeback. And it was closer than we thought it was going to be. I don't think when they play in a couple weeks, it'll be that close again, especially if the Lions are able to get a little healthier on the defensive side of the football.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll have a couple guys coming back. But I think that's where I'm going to pivot to is just some of these injuries on the defensive side of the ball. Like, the Lions' success, is it sustainable despite all these injuries on defense? I mean, the list is long. They just lost Levi Ozarike, Josh Paschal in this game. Malcolm Rodriguez got hurt in this game. Mekhi Wingo got hurt in this game. I mean, 4 players in one game is crazy.
It really is. I mean, Reeder got hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's such a mash unit. It makes me wonder. Like, so I really, really hope that Reeder is available Thursday. I don't know that he's going to be, but he's such a huge piece for what the Packers do.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to jump into that.
No. Yeah. I really think with DJ Reeder and the ability to stop the run with McNeil. It's almost like the Lions defense version of Sonic and Knuckles, because Ali McNeil is so explosive laterally and Reeder is so powerful vertically and laterally. Their ability to clog the middle and prevent Josh Jacobs and a lot of the zone concepts that we're going to see running the football, the zone running stuff from the Packers. That's what that is. You have to get lateral. You have to fight pressure with pressure, and you have to stop offensive linemen from reaching you and doing those types of things and creating.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think Reeder is so good at that. And I think McNeil is good at that. And having Paschal and his ability with backside pursuit and containing quarterbacks is important.
Well, going back a couple weeks ago, watching Jacobs run the ball against the Lions on that first drive, they kind of ran it. They made it look pretty easy on that first drive, and then they just went away from it. It was weird. You mentioned before we came on about just how the script could play out and how important it's going to be. You got to get up in this game. You got to get up and take away their ability to just dictate the tempo of how they want to play.
Yes.
Right. So, I should have let you say that because that was really your.
No, you're good.
You want to tell everybody that?
No, I think you're good with that. And I will say, I'll piggyback off of it. I think you have to force Matt Lefleur to overthink things, because he just seems to do that against the Lions as of late. He does not seem to call his better games when he's playing against the Lions. his team does not play at it just they don't play as physical as they normally do when they play against the Lions, because the Lions are the more physical team.
They're very obvious that day. And the other thing I'll tell you is they are a little bit of we're used to seeing the Packers built a certain way. Like when it gets cold and windy, the Packers they're at their finest, right? Or at least historically that has been the case. I don't think that's what this team is all about.
No.
They have smaller, more finesse receivers. They drop the ball a lot. They're I don't think they're anywhere near as stout up front on both sides of the ball as the Lions are. It doesn't mean they're a very talented football team.
Mm-hmm.
They have a ton of talent. A lot of it's young. They terrify me into the future.
Oh,
it's terrifying to think about. Not terrifying, it's the wrong word. But from a football standpoint, I don't like the idea of trying to defend Jaden Reed and Christian Watson and Dobbs, Tucker Kraft. I don't want to have to try to tackle him.
Right.
No, thanks. He is one of the few guys who is reminiscent of an old school Packers player.
Yes.
Like just rumbling, he's a little George Kittle like, where, good luck tackling that monster, right? But yeah, this one is going to be the whole thing with the injuries, like you mentioned, to start this whole thing off. I don't even know what the Lions D line is going to look like. We're recording on Tuesday evening. Obviously the game is Thursday night. It's a huge, huge game. It probably is. It's absurd to say it's their most important game to date, but they are 11-1, and if they win this game, they give themselves a huge cushion, in a variety of ways, but also a cushion that allows them to lose against Buffalo and it really not hurt them. Well, because they'll still only have one NFC loss, even if they lose to Buffalo, and Philly already has 2. Yeah. So you still hold the tiebreaker, even if you win this game. I think things, we talked about the schedule. If you win this game, I think you look good. You look really good. Mm-hmm. Big picture, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it does matter, but like this team can play anywhere, can play anybody anywhere. That doesn't really worry me so much. I definitely would prefer the advantage of Ford Field, though, throughout the NFC playoffs, right? Anybody would. So I'm not saying it's a total failure if they don't end up with the 1 seed, but it's just this game is this is the one.
It is
this one, and then Minnesota to end the season. Everything else along the way, the 49ers don't look like a team that you have to worry so much about anymore. Although it's still going to be a challenge because you have to fly across the country and all that stuff. And then you're at Chicago as well. So this game is huge. This is the one, right? Like, so. And
yeah, I'm with you. And I think it's one of those where you win it, you put the pressure back on Minnesota because they're waiting for you to fail. They're waiting for you to lose where they can, they're waiting for you to open the door, for them to come in and sneak in and do what they need to do. But you shut the door and keep it locked and everything keeps going the way it's going and you're going to be just fine. And to kind of close off the injury stuff, like I like the additions they've made. I like swinging for Jamal Adams. I think it's a fine addition. It sounds like he's working in with some of the linebackers, which I kind of expected. So Brian Branch doesn't have to. And I think that's perfect. I think you can bring him in on certain down and distances, and he doesn't need to play, 100% of the snaps. If he's playing 20% of the snaps, fine, cool, whatever.
I love his swagger. Like even you're right. Even if he plays, like you said, 20% of your snaps, it's just the way he plays fits well here,
mm-hmm.
especially if he's close to the ball, where he can just come forward, close, make plays on the run, that kind of stuff. I love that addition. I just don't know what what does he look like physically? What is, all that stuff. But like, what happens if Reader doesn't play? I don't know exactly what they roll out there with, and I know it's patchwork on the edges. It is what it is, but the Reader one that's a huge. If Reader doesn't play, it's a huge loss, and then it's I think Green Bay will be able to run the ball effectively, and will be able to stay in their own rhythm and run their offense the way they want to.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things the Lions have been able to do is make teams one-dimensional. They did it to Green Bay in Green Bay.
Right.
Whether it was because they felt they had to get away from running the ball or whatever it was, they went away from it.
Yeah.
That's what the Lions have been able to do, is just kind of make teams a little uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to run on us, right? So this is going to be a huge game for linebacker fits for a variety of things. They can't give up huge plays in the passing game either. They just can't.
Yeah.
And we all saw Jordan Love get hot last year on Thanksgiving. We all saw it.
Yep.
That we can't allow that to happen again.
Yeah. So, no, I agree, because if he gets hot and the Packers start rolling, it gets problematic, especially if they win this game on Thursday. For all the reasons that we all kind of know, with the division and the playoffs and everything at home kind of hanging in the balance. But I think Jonah Williams was a nice add from the Rams as well. I think that is somebody that is worth touching on because he's experienced, and Brad Holmes is familiar with him from his days in LA. And I think when you look at what he did last year, he played against the Packers last year and probably had the best game of his career. So
is he the definition of like heavy hands or what? You know what I mean?
Yeah, heavy hands, and like the way he spark steps and is able to get across the face of a guard or a center. He's incredibly versatile. So I think there's a positive there. And I know if Reader goes down, that really sucks, but you might have something there with Jonah Williams. And I will say this, David Long last week, he had a couple of misses, but man, does he look a lot more comfortable in Detroit than he did in Miami at any point this year. He's not guessing. He's trusting his instincts. He's making, disruptions happen, and that's a positive. So I think you might have something here. And if Jamal Adams kind of works his way in down the stretch, I don't know. I think they can piece this together, and we just got to trust it as we move on to our Packers preview on Thursday.
You're getting Carlton Davis back.
Yep.
You should. I think at this point we should expect Decker to be out. So huge problem on offense. Do they recognize that and flip Sewell over to play left tackle? Here's the argument. And, take it for whatever it's worth. I don't know whether it's a good argument to have, but we're going to have it. Goff seems to be, when Goff trusts what's around him, he's a different player.
100%.
So knowing that Dan Skipper's playing left tackle, what do you think he's thinking? On every shoulder.
Yeah, over
So if you move Sewell over there and he feels comfortable, and you play whoever you're going to play at right tackle, whoever it is, let's say it's Colby Sorsdale, whatever, at least Goff is looking at it. But because he's right-handed and it's not his blind side and that kind of stuff, right? So at least he's feeling like, all right, I'm secure over here on my left side. I can see this. So I either can step up or it's a quicker throwing game kind of stuff. Just something worth talking about. I don't know that I would even consider doing it because Sewell's been so good as the right tackle that maybe it doesn't make a lot of sense to do that. I don't know, right? I really don't know. And then the Packers with Jair Alexander, is he going to play?
I don't know. I need a deal. Yeah, I mean, he's had some limited practices, it looks like, but at the same time, I think he's practiced limited fashion over the course of a couple of weeks and still hasn't played. So I think he's missed 2 or 3 games now. So I don't know what direction, the Packers defense is going to look like with if Jair Alexander is out. Like, I think that's a big plus for all those receivers because they can all play inside and outside for the Lions offense. But you're absolutely right with Sewell at left tackle. And I don't know if they want to do that internally because I don't know if there's like a thing mentally there. It just seems like when they moved him early in his career, it kind of messed with them a little bit, but I don't know. I'm with you. I would make that move. I would consider maybe Jamarco Jones there at right tackle or
I would consider making it. I just don't know if I would end up doing it. So that's why I thought this is a ridiculous take to even throw out there, because I'm not even sure. I don't even know where I am with it. Like,
Yeah.
but it's
I mean,
worth
it's had to have.
conversation though, because it does solidify, you know, it does solidify from a passing game standpoint, at least the blind side,
Yeah.
where, Goff can see what's going on the right side, but then you lose some of the ability between what Sewell and Zeitler have going on and Ragnow, the three of them in the running game. And I don't know that it's worth it to lose that.
And it changes those duo blocks if you want to run it.
He's already. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe we're talking ourselves out of it, but it does make sense on paper. And it's certainly something that they've probably done in practice. They had to have by now.
Yeah.
They've had to have repped it and considered the option. And I don't know, maybe if that's Campbell's call, Ben Johnson's call, maybe it's Jared Goff's call. Maybe he's fine. Like maybe he's like, I trust the guys. I'll be good. And
yeah,
at the end of the day, he kind of gets the yips a little bit when he knows it's not Decker back there. But hopefully Decker does come back at some point within the next week or two, because not having them, it's evident. It hurts them in the ground game. I know they ran really well on Thursday, but it does hurt them in a lot of different ways with what they want to do with running the ball, how they throw the football, Goff's confidence, just the whole direction of the offense changes when he's not in. And if I'm not mistaken, through the 2 games that Decker has not played, the Lions have scored 23 points and 26 points. And it was a struggle.
Every other game with 35 plus.
Yeah, it's been a struggle. So I think it's evident, and I think we've got at least some data there to kind of provide it. But I feel good going into this one, not simply because the Lions are the best team in football, but I think this offense has the ability, and I know I just mentioned how they struggle without Taylor Decker, but I feel like this could be a shootout, and I just have to put trust in the Lions offense at the end of the day. Because defensively, Tyrion Arnold is really close, and this was something I wanted to talk about defensively. I loved seeing Khalil Dorsey play on Thanksgiving. I know he gave up like 4 or 5 receptions for 50 yards. He was targeted 6 times, and makes 0 sense, but it is what it is. He got a higher grade than Tyrion Arnold on Pro Football Focus, and Arnold, according to Pro Football Reference, only gave up 2 receptions for 6 yards. So I don't know how one was graded way higher than the other. It is what it is, but I will say this. Arnold played his best game, I thought, of the year against the Bears. So good, staying in phase consistently, as we've talked about. He's using that trail technique where he's able to just kind of sit in that hip pocket and be right in position. He almost had that pick. He had outside leverage on a slant pattern that ended up turning into a whip route from not even a whip route. It was a quick out, but the way Rome Odunze ran it with the head fake, it looked like a whip route, and he jumped on the inside move. And that was what set up the Keenan Allen touchdown where he burnt Amik Robertson out of the slot. But
wow, what a route, dude.
Yeah, just a hell of a route. And that's the thing. It's like, sometimes you just get beat. But I trust Tyrion Arnold. You got Carlton Davis coming back. That should be a big plus.
Yeah.
You have 2 of the best safeties in the NFL when you look at like just top 5 rankings. And I love the way Jack Campbell's playing. I don't know if anybody's feeling the same way, but
he's good. It's really good.
What he's been able to do, the way he blitzes and navigates the defense, the addition of David Long it seems like it could be a positive. And it seems like Dan Campbell loves David Long. So for what it's worth for anybody, Zadarius Smith's been a fine ad. I think this is one where, they're missing some pieces, but they're finding ways to get it done. And I just got to trust that they continue to do that. They're 3.5 point favorites. I think that's worth telling.
Yeah. It's at home. So
you get a little nod there.
Yeah. I mean, so maybe Vegas is saying it's kind of an even matchup. And I feel that is kind of the way, with the injuries and that stuff, that is how I think it's a good way to view it. It's a coin flip, right? But it's so script dependent. If the Lions get out, and I hope people have been paying attention, because the idea of playing Montgomery and Gibbs to score the first touchdown in games, or to be, you know what I mean? Like, that's hit so many times. Like, do it again.
Just play it every week.
Yes, do it again. Montgomery has a really good chance to score the first touchdown in this game. And, if the Lions can do that and get things going offensively and really push the Packers to get uncomfortable, it'll be a fun game to watch. I think the stadium would be really loud. I do think that there's a different vibe around that stadium at certain times, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I just expected it to be a bit of a raucous atmosphere. I really hope the Lions are able to make Jordan Love uncomfortable and to get them out of the rhythm that they want to stay in their offense. And the only way they're going to do that is by scoring enough on offense to force them to hang with them and abandon the run.
Yeah.
So that's the way I think that this one goes. And if it goes that way, then there's a lot of points that are going to be scored in this game, and it will be a very fun football game to watch.
Absolutely. And I will say this, I think it's another, and I think the total's set at 51 and a half. So Vegas, I think, is expecting a shootout for Thursday night football, and it might go under. I mean, I don't necessarily know. I don't want to turn this into a full-on betting show, but which would be incredibly fun to do, which I do, by the way, on Sunday nights on bettingpros.com. No big deal. Shameless plug. But well, I will say JMO feels like this feels like a JMO spot to me in this game because of what happened with Jalen Johnson and Tyreek Stevenson getting tripped up, throwing the ball in his face, which I thought was hilarious. And
you're not alone.
I know he got flagged for it. It is what it is. Young guy's going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. And I don't know. JMO has been very much involved in the offense in the last 4 weeks since he came back. 25 targets during the last 4 weeks. Over 6 a game. He's going to get targeted. He's going to get his share. They're going to get the ball in his hands. And I could see that JMO crossing pattern hitting at some point. It's going to hit.
Yeah.
So,
and I really do agree with you with all that.
Tim Patrick?
Who?
Tim Patrick?
Yes. And the way he blocks and as physical as he is, that they have to be begging, like, let's get this guy something, right?
Yeah.
And the Lions do that kind of stuff. Like we're going to throw the ball to Taylor Decker just because we want to.
Yeah.
Didn't work out so great last year against Dallas, but I do think they're going to do their best to get Patrick into the end zone. They have tried. JMO is definitely a thing. He's been really, really good. He's so dangerous. It's give him 4 or 5 touches, 4 or 5 targets. He could score easily. No big deal. I do think though that, the nuts and bolts of the whole thing is that the offense is going to have to really play well, and they can. There's no reason that they can't. And just to kind of keep Green Bay sort of, clipping up their heels a little bit.
Yeah.
I think the offense it's incumbent upon the offense to play at a level that bails the defense out, because the defense has bailed out the offense a little bit here and there. And, we could be wrong. It could be a low scoring kind of a not so, exciting kind of a game, but I just don't see that looking at the way this lines up and the over under, and it's almost like they're forecasting like a 27-24 final.
Yeah.
I could see both going over, I could see lots of passing yards and, maybe Gibbs doing Gibbs things and Montgomery getting his numbers and scoring and all. Yeah. It
was fun. And I love that Dan Campbell kind of, obviously was asked about it from the media about, the whiteboard situation on social media. And he's like, oh, now I'm not going to play him because he went on social media. It's like, it's almost like they're kind of just telling everybody, like, it's predetermined. We're giving Gibbs the ball 50 times in this game. He's going to score. And I will say this, I'm glad that Gibbs got the fumble out of the way. Get that bad fumble out of the way, not in the playoffs. Jake Bates, get the missed field goal out of the way, not in the playoffs. Get all that stuff out of the way so when they're winning the Super Bowl in February, it's Jake Bates hitting his 22nd consecutive field goal and Gibbs, 100th carry without a fumble, whatever the case may be. So I'm loving all of that. And it just, I think this offense is going to stay on track, and they're going to, or maybe get back on track if you want to say that. But
yeah,
I just, that's how I feel. That's what my gut tells me. And if you can force Jordan Love, who's been prone to make mistakes so far this year with interceptions and kind of being a little reckless and getting banged up, if you can force his hand and get him in a tough spot and get the ball back into your offense's hand, I think it's going to lead to a big game for the Lions. And again, it's probably going to be a lot closer than I'm picturing in my head as the fan, but it's I feel good about it. I hope I'm not eating my words Thursday night at about midnight.
We'll see. I mean, there's definitely you can spin you could spin it where you can write that story that the Lions win this game on the strength of their offense and kind of going away. Yeah, it's possible. Yep. I think it's going to be a tight game. I'd be surprised if it wasn't tight all the way through. Unless the Lions offense plays at a really high level, and then it will be. The Lions can run away literally from the Packers. They could. We'll see.
Yeah. We will see. Of course, you guys, we would love to know what your thoughts are on the game between the Lions and the Packers on Thursday Night Football. Drop your comments below right here on YouTube. Give us score predictions, game balls, whatever it is that you want to give us. Give us your information, your comments, your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, as you can see below, rate, review, and subscribe to Detroit Lions Podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all other podcast platforms. And of course, you can find us on social media or Twitter at Russ NFL Draft and Bischoff _ Scott. I got nothing left to add. I think you're tapped out. We're good. We are good. Let's go Lions. You guys enjoy the game. Have fun downtown. Be safe. Let us know if you're going to the game. We will be back next week, same time, same place, to break it all down and preview the Bills matchup. You guys take care. This is Bischoff and Brown right here on Detroit Lions Podcast.